Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section. I wanted to spend this video talking a little bit about Yashahime episode 4. I really wanted to do an analysis in this episode. It was very complex, and I just wanted to kind of dig into a discussion. The episode kicks off with Muroha in present day. She's hanging out with Grandpa and his community of elders, and she fits right in. She seems to really appreciate honing in her spiritual energy and all these random things that Grandpa likes. So Grandpa actually gave her a mummified foot, which he gave Kagome. When Kagome received this, she really didn't appreciate it, but Muroha makes a similar face to her, but she's actually ecstatic. I just want to talk about this and like why this is here. It's trying to showcase that Muroha is different than her mother. She has a lot more appreciation for these educational pieces, whether that's bounty hunting for a skull, a body, whatever, getting a mummified foot. She seems to not have a pompous way about her. Muroha's playing up that she's a member of this family, not overexerting it. She's just kind of being herself. You also see this later. She's very cute, she's very funny and cunning. She goes shopping and she runs up a really big bill and she gives it to her uncle and it's like, oh, thanks for the gift. So she's kind of finding her footing, but she doesn't really seem to care that much. She also mentions this later in the episode when Kagome's mom, her grandma, essentially says, say hi to Kagome, and Muroha's like, yeah, sure, never met her. I think her relationship with her family is going to be a really important part of her story. She just knows things, but she can remove herself emotionally. Toa comes into the scene. She's kind of fantasizing, looking off, and thinking Setsuna Muroha came from the feudal era, so I must have been born there as well. She's probably gonna go back to the feudal era because it's the only thing that makes sense. Her professor comes up to her and is like, you shouldn't be daydreaming. And her professor has the name Kirin, which is very similar to the antagonist's name that is mentioned later on in the show. A lot of people have theories that this professor may be tied to the antagonist and is just a modern day version of that. I agree. It's been the course of over a couple days, and all of a sudden Setsuna is like a really talented violinist. She just kind of picks up some modern day instrument and is really talented. She takes her violin case with her to the feudal era. I have a feeling that she's gonna be playing that violin a lot. She mentions how maybe she'll play it when she's having a hard time going to sleep. Well, guess what? She doesn't sleep, and I think they're probably gonna use the violin as a track for her. I'm hoping it'll just at least add some flavor to the already great artistry. After this scene of Setsuna playing her music, Muroha has all of her stuff that she bought under Soda's credit card. One of the things she pulls out is a textbook. Toa's concerned about time. Time is something that is brought up over and over again. It's definitely going to be really important. From this, Muroha's like, I'm going to negotiate with the root head because we have the rainbow pearls, so we're going to get into the corridor, we'll be fine. So once Toa hears this, she's like, well, I kind of have to go with them. It's where I belong, and I believe that. Toa then goes off to look for Soda, and he's looking at pictures of Kagome and Inuyasha and Kagome and her friends. Basically, Soda kind of says, you know, you can go, it's fine. I always knew that this day was going to come to Toa. And this moment I think is really important because they're not letting the OG characters just be lost on us just because they're not showing face. Like, they are very much felt in the storyline. It's clear that the Higurashi family looks at Toa as well as Setsuna and Muroha like family. Grandpa even calls all of them his great-granddaughters. Before the girls go into the rainbow corridor, May begs them to come back at some point. Really hardcore, so it's kind of inevitable that they're gonna come back. They're gonna come back regardless because time travel is such a really big part of the show. They make it a point to come back. Because in Inuyasha, there was never that Kagome come back like it is with them, and it's all of them. Also, in very Setsuna spirit, she's reminding her sister Toa that, hey, this isn't some fairy tale, which is funny because Inuyasha feudal fairy tale was like the subtitle. Be prepared to die at any second, just so you know. All the girls gather, and Muroha says to Roothead, let us through, and in exchange we'll give you our 3 rainbow pearls. Obviously, this is a huge bluff. Roothead agrees, and they end up not going to the feudal era. They're in this in-between. It clearly looks like they're inside the sacred tree / Roothead. And in this moment, both the girls tell Toa, hey, this is no time to hesitate. That could mean your life. So don't hesitate. Just kill your enemy or else they're gonna kill you. As they're passing through, a priestess let Roothead sleep. And they see the priestess. The priestess looks like Kikyo. We find out it's not Kikyo, it's just taking on her image because of her arrow going into the tree. She says, I have a message for Sesshomaru's daughters. And then Muroha's like, hey, what about me? And she's like, Muroha, your time will come, wait. So she already knows Moroha's name. She knows the twins. The first episode, we saw that the girls were referred to as Yashahime, the half-demon princess, or half-demon princesses. You can clearly tell that's meant to be in the future. This is the first time that in real time we are seeing the girls being referred to as half-demon princesses, and it's by the spirit of the sacred tree. Spirit of the sacred tree asked the daughters of Sesshomaru specifically to slay a certain demon, Kirin-Maru. The sacred tree claims that Kirin-Maru is actually trying to bring the world into nothingness and twist time. This demon ruled the Eastlands. Sesshomaru was supposed to take over ruling the Westlands like his father, and he decided to not fulfill his destiny of being the great dog general. The sacred tree later reveals that in order to kill Kirin-Maru, the girls must also kill Sesshomaru in the process because they walk the same path, and if one were to show up, the other would as well. Moroha accepts because she wants the bounty. Setsuna right off the bat refuses. And Toa kind of chimes in and says, well, this person's my father. I would never kill my father in the process. Sesshomaru has actually been in a similar situation as this before. I think this was a test for the girls to see would they decide to kill their father. Because they refused, she's like, very well, then suffer at the hands of Roothead. Afterwards, they easily kill Roothead. All before falling into the Rainbow Corridor, and they're released into the feudal era, finally. And Kaede, Hisui, and Kahaku welcome back the girls with welcome arms. They don't really acknowledge Toa yet, but they're really excited to see Setsuna. In the middle of the surprise of defeating Roothead, Toa realizes that, hey, we may never be able to get back to modern era ever again. Maybe that was a mistake. To be honest, they're gonna be totally fine to go back to modern era. They've got the rainbow pearls. They'll definitely be able to go through the rainbow corridor. The Bone Eater's Well is one of the key words for Yashahime. I don't think that's a coincidence. We haven't really seen it used yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if they would be able to reactivate it as long as they have the rainbow pearls. So similar to Kagome, if she had the Shikan shards, or if someone had the Shikan shards, it made it easier to pass through the well. One thing I really want to point out, which I haven't seen anyone talking about, is the sacred tree says to them that the only way to fight Kirin-Maru is to be able to time travel. And that's when Toa says, that's where we come in. Before disappearing, the sacred tree says, we will meet again. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I think they're going to meet again because later on we see that there's a butterfly hanging out with Rin and Sesshomaru at the end. The sacred tree is looking at Rin. She's clearly in a trance, like a sleep-like state. We see a highlight in the corner of a butterfly very similar to what took Setsuna's memories and her dreams and her sleeping. I have a theory that Rin is asleep at the expense of Setsuna not sleeping. So Sesshomaru probably figured it was probably better for Setsuna to not sleep and for Rin to live in a sealed away sleep-like trance. Not only in a sleep-like trance, but keeping all the dreams that Setsuna was meant to have. Dreams of her childhood, dreams of her family, dreams of her mother and her father together. I think that is being transmitted to Rin as she's in that sleep-like state, because why would that butterfly, that specific butterfly, be close to Rin? This is stabilizing her existence. So by slaying that butterfly, perhaps it means that Rin would no longer exist. And I think that if Setsuna comes across this and realizes this, she won't kill that butterfly. This kind of goes back to when she took the violin with her and said, I'll play this whenever I can't sleep. Something tells me she won't be sleeping for a long time. We kind of flash this final scene. The sacred tree spirit is talking to someone. We see that it's Sesshomaru. As we see this, the tree says, if you forsake this girl, she will never wake up. And the feet step away. We see him leaving. Now, mind you, I think that either this is like some other realm. So I think that Sesshomaru is stuck there with this tree and whatever. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's guarding over Rin. Sesshomaru's character is very much like, here's the obvious solution. I'm never going to go with the obvious solution. He has his own way of figuring it out. Never ever wants to feel like he's been manipulated or owned or in debt to anyone. Now, I have a feeling that the sacred tree wants to recommend him the most easiest way to help Rin, help himself, but it'll be at the expense of something that maybe Sesshomaru doesn't want to give up. Some people are saying that maybe Sesshomaru is going down an evil path. I don't believe that for a second. I wouldn't be surprised if they make the audience think that he's evil for a short period of time, and then all of a sudden it comes out that, hello. Now, this episode was living proof to me that this, very similar to what I said in my Sesshomaru fandom, Sesshomaru x Rin theories, that Sesshomaru is going to be huge in this series. How I feel is this. I don't think Sesshomaru is a bad guy. He did whatever he could for Rin. If he denounced his title, it was probably because he wanted to figure out a way to protect his family. They're showing Kikyo very similarly. They're trying to hint at something. When Kikyo was responsible for anything, she had a duty to the sacred jewel. She wasn't supposed to fall in love, right? That was her doom. And demons came to her knowing that. So similar to Sesshomaru, he had kids. That's a weak spot right there. You're not in a position to take care of anybody. You're constantly going to be taking care of your family. So he had to denounce his title. I'm going to assume because of that. It also could be because of the complications of that family and those kids and that love or companion. Rin is in a tree. Why is she in a tree? If you're trying to figure that out, if you're trying to get her out of that tree, if you're trying to keep her alive, if she's dying, you can't really reign over the Western lands. It's too complicated. That's a little bit about my thoughts and my analysis on this episode. Let me know if you like this content. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section.